Revolutionary greetings, comrades. It's Red Sunday today, the 21st of November 2021. As part of our political education, we want to focus on the 2023 elections by briefly looking into the Observer report as presented by the SADC Observer Mission that observed the 2018 harmonized elections in Zimbabwe. And the question we ask today is, are we ready for the 2023 elections? Before we proceed, please like the video, subscribe, circulate, so that you continue to engage on this. And at the end of the video, please write your comments, or you can write your comments as we continue to engage on this critical question. In August 2017, the Zimbabwe Communist Party resolved in its meeting that the outcome of the 2018 elections was going to be contested were proven correctly when the very outcome of the 2018 elections was contested. And up to this day, the opposition, the main opposition, the MTC Alliance, does not believe that President Emerson Mnangagwa won the presidential election. So let us look into some of the key findings or observations that were made by the SADC Observer Mission in 2018 and see how far we've gone in implementing those, because we are of the view that at the very least, if we are able as a country to implement some of those observations or recommendations that were made by the SADC Observer Mission, we are likely to have an election whose outcome is not going to be contested. But failure to implement those recommendations or observations by the SADC Observer Mission, again, were headed for a disputed outcome in 2023. The SADC Observer Mission noted the composition of ZEC, that it was in line with the Zimbabwe Constitution. But the concerns that were raised by the stakeholders as the SADC Observer Mission consulted different stakeholders, state actors and non-state actors, political parties and civil society organizations, noted that there was delays in the release of the voters' roll to political stakeholders. The release of the voters' roll make it difficult for political parties to analyze it, because you need to analyze the voters' roll. I was a parliamentary candidate in 2013 in Umzingwane constituency. The voters' roll is king in an election, in that it gives the political party contesting to know the people that are registered as voters. Because towards 3 months towards an election, you would not want to simply do open rallies addressing people that are not registered as voters. You want to narrow down your campaign to the people that are registered as voters, so that your electoral message is targeting the registered voters. But if you do not have a voters roll, or if you receive a voters roll 24 hours before an election, it does not help you. Because we have observed over the years that people will come to rallies for different reasons. They will attend where they are giving them free t-shirts, where they are slaughtering a beast, where they are giving them bicycles, whatever you are giving them at the rally, people will come. And it does not necessarily mean that they will vote for you, or it does not mean that they are actually on the voters' roll. So it helps when you have a voters' roll to analyze and then assist those that are not in the voters' roll to go and register. Because in 2013, as I was a parliamentary candidate, what I observed is some people in my constituency, Umzingwane constituency, would claim that they are registered as voters. But when we then looked into the voters' roll, which we had to buy in Gwanda in the last few days or before the election, was that they were not registered as voters. So it is important that we need to have the voters' roll distributed to all contesting parties way before the election. So the question, therefore, is what are the timelines for the release of the voters' roll to every contesting party and the civil society and those that are observing elections? The second observation which the SADC Observer team made was the alleged lack of transparency in the procurement and printing of the ballot papers. This has become problematic. And I would expect that the parties that are represented in parliament will expect that the Poland Forum, where different political parties and losing presidential candidates in the 2018 elections do discuss the procurement and printing of the ballot papers so that there's no dispute on where we procure the ballot papers, where we print these ballot papers. And the question again is, how far have we gone in discussing this critical issue, which is a key component in the election of Zimbabwe? The other third issue, which was observed and raised by the SADC Observer Mission, was the layout of the ballot paper, which was alleged to have favored one candidate over others. If in the 2018 presidential elections were the 23 presidential candidates, it then meant that the ballot paper was long. So if your name is in the middle or is at the bottom, the perception is that a voter might not see your name, might actually miss out your name. So what happened in the last election? The name of the ZANU-PF candidate was put at the top, but on the side, on the second column, if I'm not mistaken, so that their voters will be able to identify their candidate, which was contested because it did not follow the format as was agreed with the ZEC. So again, the question then needs to be discussed or raised to say, in terms of designing the ballot paper, to what extent does ZEC consult stakeholders, political parties, and civil society? The fourth observation alleged lack of impartiality by the ZEC and bias towards one political party over others. The perception is that the majority of the people that constitute ZEC or the commissioners of ZEC are linked to the ruling party. Now, there is need to have this discussion because political parties, many those that are represented in parliament, must have a say or make recommendations on people that are appointed as commissioners. So we should not be raising this question in 2023. We need to be raising this question now. And what has the Parliament of Zimbabwe done in respect of this question to ensure that these fears are put to rest, that indeed the commissioners of Zimbabwe Electoral Commission are not biased towards the ruling party? The fifth observation under ZEC, which was raised or observed by the SADC Observer Mission, was lack of a proactive communication strategy with respect to the concerns of political parties. While ZEC does conduct meetings with the stakeholders and so forth, but to what extent does ZEC communicate or address these issues? If issues are raised in those meetings, how does ZEC resolve the concerns that are raised? Is there any dispute mechanism or a mechanism of addressing issues that are raised by the stakeholders? Let's look into the postal voting, which was also observed by the SADC Observer Mission. What the Observer Mission said, which is correct, is that the Electoral Act does not require observation or supervision of the postal voting process. Now, if the Electoral Act does not provide a monitoring or observation of the postal voting, to what extent can stakeholders have faith in the postal voting? What mechanism must be put in place? Does this require that there must be an amendment of the Electoral Act to ensure that people have confidence in the postal voting, that it is not manipulated in favor of one political party, in this case, which is obvious, which is the ruling party? Then there's the diaspora voting. In 2016 in Johannesburg, as part of a number of political parties, a number of civil society organizations, we started a campaign, a diaspora vote campaign, and signed a pledge to participate in this campaign, which led to Advocate Gabriel Shumba and others approaching the courts in Harare to ensure that the diaspora vote is in place to allow the millions of Zimbabweans in the diaspora to register and vote in the countries where they are registered, or where they are resident. On the 30th of May 2018, the Constitutional Court delivered a judgment confirming that there's no constitutional provision for the diaspora vote. Now, this means that millions of Zimbabweans that are in the diaspora, if they want to cast their votes or if they want to participate in the electoral process in terms of the Zimbabwean constitution, they must return back to Zimbabwe, register, and vote in Zimbabwe. You cannot vote outside the borders of Zimbabwe. The voting system which was adopted confines everyone to vote in one polling station in a ward. I vote at Mbizingwe Primary School in my Ward 4 in my district. My name cannot appear in the neighboring school saying says primary school or Doanas Primary School, or even at Mbizingwe Clinic, which is also a polling station. So my name only appears at Mbizingwe Primary School. So if my name appears only at Mbizingwe Primary School, that's why I have to vote even if I'm in Joburg. So this is the challenge. And the question, therefore, which goes in the main to the political parties that are in the National Assembly or in Parliament in Zimbabwe, is how far have they gone in discussing this issue, in ensuring that there is a provision in the Constitution that allows for a diaspora vote? We have seen ZANU-PF bringing a number of constitutional amendments. And what has been the difficulty in raising the issue of the diaspora vote in the Parliament of Zimbabwe by the opposition party? So it would be interesting to hear what the MDC Alliance and MDCT, which are in the Parliament of Zimbabwe, are saying. It is also going to be interesting to hear these numerous political parties and leaders that are members of Poland to say what is it, or what are the challenges in ensuring that the Zimbabwean constitution does make a provision for the diaspora vote. While we have heard the arguments by ZANU-PF that because of sanctions they cannot campaign in Europe, in North America, in the last video which we did when we were talking about the diaspora vote, we said at the very least there must be diaspora vote in the SADC region. So we need parties that are in parliament, parties that are in Poland, and civil society to say how far have they gone in ensuring that there's provision for the diaspora vote in the Zimbabwe constitution. The other issue which was observed by the SADC Observer Mission was the role of traditional leaders. Concerns were raised that some traditional leaders were using their influence to intimidate or coerce the rural population into supporting the ruling party. We know that the food distribution in many rural communities is done through traditional leaders. We are in the rain season now. Farming inputs are distributed through traditional leaders. Traditional leaders are used to distribute this, but the people that will actually be doing the distribution and submitting the list of those that should receive these gifts or freebies, it will be the structures of ZANU PF. So while the Constitution of Zimbabwe provides clearly the role of traditional leaders and it makes it clear that traditional leaders should not be involved in the politics of the country. But we saw at the just ended ZANU PF Annual People's Conference in 2021, where the chairman or president of the traditional leaders said they are members of ZANU PF in clear violation of the Zimbabwe Constitution. So again, with this mentality by some traditional leaders, are we saying that we are going to have a free and a fair election in 2023 whose outcome is not going to be contested? So how far have we gone in ensuring that traditional leaders adhere to the provisions of the Zimbabwean Constitution? The other issue, as I'm moving to conclusion, which was raised or observed by the SADC Observer team, is the persons with disability. We know that in Zimbabwe, there's no braille ballot papers for persons, visual impaired voters. What happens is they are then allowed to ask any person that they trust to accompany them when they cast their vote. But that then removes the secrets of the vote. We know we have been betrayed by many people. The question of trust is always contested. You will tell a person that this is what I want, and the person does a different thing. So again, this is the issue that we should be debating about, to say, as we were preparing for the 2023 elections, how far have we gone to correct this so that people with disability will participate freely in the voting itself, and they vote in a manner that all of us vote, which is a secret ballot. The other, second from last, the issue which was raised, observed by the SADC Observer team, was the whole question of access to media, public media in the main. Because the private media, anyone can have private media, be it ruling party, the opposition parties, but all of us, we pay for the public media through our taxes. So the public media must cover every Zimbabwean, all political parties that are contesting. But SADC Observer Mission made an observation, which is generally known to all of us in Zimbabwe, that the public media only support or flight messages of the ruling party, ZANU PF. It does not give space to the opposition. Whenever they talk about the opposition, they'll simply be ridiculing them or insulting them or saying bad things about them. You will not see, as we saw in the just ended South African local government elections, where ZBC or ZTV will cover a manifesto launch of the opposition without any bias, just to put their cameras, report, no need again to report, just to bring the rally of the manifesto launch live without saying a word. They will not do that. It's always, they are always following ZANU PF leaders. Again, if we cannot correct this, the outcome of the 2023 election is going to be contested. And again, we're saying, how far have we gone in ensuring that the public media covers all political parties? The last issue, of course, which was observed by the SADC Observer team, is the legal framework. Because the SADC Observer team noted that there are other aspects of the electoral law which are not aligned to the Zimbabwean constitution. And the recommendation by the SADC Observer team was to ask the Zimbabwean government to consider expediting the alignment of the outstanding aspects of the electoral law into the Zimbabwe constitution. So these observations, as carried out, as done by the SADC Observer team in 2018, if all of them are not implemented, it means we are headed for an outcome in 2023 which is going to be contested, because the rigging of an election does not happen on the day of voting. So this contributes to the very rigging of an election. And of course, the SADC Observer mission in 2018 gave a thumbs up to the Zimbabwe Republic Police that they conducted themselves professional. But we know in practice that you book a rally, they will refuse you if you belong to opposition parties. So this Red Sunday on the 21st of November, as part of our political education, we are discussing our readiness to 2023 elections. How ready are we? Are we a country that will always contest the outcome of an election? Is SADC Observer mission in 2023 coming again to observe and note what they noted in 2018? To what extent does SADC, the organ on politics and peace, make a follow-up, or does it make a follow-up to say, in 2018, we made these recommendations? How far have you gone in Zimbabwe in implementing them? Does SADC have that capacity? Or SADC organ on peace and politics and peace and security only intervene when the country is burning, as we saw in Swaziland or Eswatini? They will be quiet until they are again invited as a observer team to come and observe elections and testify that elections in Zimbabwe were free and fair. Yes, there should have been major improvements here and there, but in the main, the elections were free and fair. I am Ngabuto Nicholas Mabena, General Secretary of the Zimbabwe Communist Party. Let us continue with the conversation as part of our Red Sunday, our political education on our readiness to the 2023 elections. Please like the video, subscribe, circulate, and we continue with this discussion. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.